from your perspective as a whole, off of what I just said there and spiritual awakening, to me it really seems like the world is making a conscious transition here. Like they can see that there is a longing for the authenticity thing that you're talking about, and they're tired of old systems, and yet it's somehow still like it's hanging around here. Maybe like what can we do to shift out of this? What can we do to become
Mhm.
more authentic? What can we do to change the systems of the world that seem to be keeping everyone in a state of just going along with it because that's I guess that's the way it always was, and I guess I'm not dying, I am suffering, but not enough to really do anything.
Mm.
Oh my God. So true. What that made me think of was how good is the greatest enemy of great. Like when things are good,
Hmm.
why would you ever risk that for great?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So, but anyway, you asked about the state of the world and how we can help people with this. Actually, what comes to mind, I don't know if you guys have heard of the book, The Fourth Turning.
I've heard of that
Um,
book, yes.
it's interesting. I don't know how like perfectly it maps to reality. But according to this book, there's every 20, 25 years is a season. There are four seasons, four turnings. And they trace this back hundreds of years. There's like consistency
Oh,
in the
wow.
four turnings. Right now we're in the crisis, which is for the next 10, 15 years, or maybe 10 years, we're in the crisis.
Oh,
And
come
after the
on.
crisis,
4 years?
and the crisis, according to them, the crisis is sort of defined. And this is not going to be a perfect portrait of this book, okay?
Yeah.
But the crisis is defined by low institutional trust, um, low tradition, like people are not into tradition, or it's sort of like the most anarchy, like the most separate, the most lonely, the most sort of everybody sort of for themselves, not trusting the institutions. And then at the fourth turning, the next one, I forget what it's called, the fourth turning, but it's not the crisis, it's like the one where we're building again and we're cooperating again. And there's like a high appreciation for spirituality, a high appreciation for institutional, like the institutions have regained our trust and we can work together. It's like we got to our wits' end of separation and now we're like, doesn't work. Usually it's because there's a war or multiple wars or some sort of crazy stuff with whatever. With this
Mm-hmm.
case, I think it's going to be technology. And then we're like, hold on, let's actually come together. Let's cooperate. Let's value cooperation. And there's so many other things that they notice, like trends that happen every 100 years, where, for instance, right now in the crisis, people are dressing the most provocatively. And then after this turning, people will be dressing the most conservatively. That's their projection. That's like traditional values return. So I think it's interesting. I think on one hand, there's like this perfect conversion of like AI and tech reaching this zenith point where there's going to be no turning back, for better for worse. Um, Plus whatever is going on sociologically or anthropologically with humanity and these trends. Plus, I think this is where I'm optimistic, a rise in grounded spirituality that can meet that need. So that's sort of what I'm hoping for and optimistic about is that people like us, um, just good all around teachers that understand self-realization, that understand the truth of reality, but that also are like, on the ground, are going to rise just at the right time to meet that need. And and people will actually be receptive to the idea of taking total responsibility and being the creator and choosing their level of energy or their perspective and admitting their cop out strategy and whatever it is. I'm talking about really practical spirituality. I'm not even saying epic multi-dimensional kundalini experiences. I'm not even talking about that necessarily, but more so just the simple spirituality of taking total responsibility for your life as the creator of your life and knowing that that person is me, that we are one. Ultimately, we are one. There is no separation. Realizations like that people
Yeah.
realize on their drug trips and in their peak like experiences of meditation, but that are sort of fundamental truths of reality at a certain point. So if people are receptive and then the teachings are there, like if the supply and the demand meet at the right time, I'm really I'm optimistic about next
We're
15 years.
seems like we're two steps forward, stumble back, stumble forward through history, kingdoms rise and fall, and there's patterns to be recognized in all this. And I wonder if kind of the age that we're living in, we're starting to become aware of our shadow, like our collective shadowy type stuff. I honestly feel like politics reflect that a lot. People love to get together and
Hmm.
complain and yap and argue and fight about politics, but it's like come on, man, there's no politician without a whole sea of people contributing to that one individual. Like it's reflecting our men and women. Our
That's
shadowy
cool.
stuff comes forward in that. And because there's this idea sometimes I think about falling out of touch. You know what I mean? Like as you were talking, for some reason I was thinking about the idea of somebody being resentful of somebody that seems out of touch. Like, oh, it's all well and good if you've established yourself in a gated community and then you can sit around and talk about peace and getting along, but you don't come from where I come from. And people do this sometimes to people with money. They'll be like, they can't wait for some success to come back to his hometown and put him in his place. You think you're a big shot. And I think that can happen in a spiritual community. It can happen all different things. But there's a collective responsibility. I'm starting to think that maybe the people that really get it, that they seem to have had a shift spiritually and it's sustained and they're staying there as they understand something maybe about the collective responsibility there. Like just like you're saying, you're pointing out to people what control they really have and the decision to be a victim and all this stuff. And I think that we can point a lot of this to like some kind of collective responsibility. And maybe it is like a four-step stage. And in the fourth movement, these things are, but look at over history. We detect these patterns, but we've progressed. We've progressed technologically. We've progressed in some way, but it often seems like kingdoms rise and they fall, and this happens, and then people, and we drag all the information we have with us through time, and people even seem to be changing in some way. And I guess to wrap it up, what I'll just say is I think we can both claim responsibility and understand the collective responsibility we have when we look around and we go, easy enough for you, or you need to address these issues that it's more technical than that. It's not this nebulous thing you're saying. It's more technical. You just fix this and you fix that. It's a deferring of the collective responsibility that you're not as aware as you think you are. You've fallen into a
Ah,
myopic
I agree.
thing.
Totally. Totally. To me, this just sounds like all that says is those are people who are stuck in these low perspectives.
Yeah.
That's like finger pointing, right, wrong. We need to like debate in order to reach the solution. Since when? Like since when do you get the best solutions through like heavy argument and debate
Never,
and
never,
undermining
ever,
each
not
other?
even ever.
Never.
Sometimes you
When
get
did that
a
work?
solution, sometimes you get a result, which is
With
probably
and
ugly.
created new problems in your wake. You created new enemies in your
Yeah.
wake. Like how is that a real? That's not like a high level. That's not high level thinking.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what I mean about like this relative spirituality. It's just like improve your outlook, your whole outlook, your ability to harmonize, your ability to leave the whole wake better than what's in front of you. Like the whole wake, not just new karmic threads and new people who are upset and new, not new problems, not solving a problem and creating new problems in your wake, but like actually high level wise thinking, balance, deep compassion, care. You were talking about this at the beginning, but like problems that actually solve the thing, actually solving problems instead of you know having this identity of like let's fix everything, I'm the type of person that's just out here to fix. Let me help. How can I help? Let me do some philanthropy. Let me do no, actually the little lever that can change something, like having the humility to be patient and to really look for that. And maybe it's totally internal, and maybe you lead by example, and maybe that's how you do
Maybe
it, and it's
maybe you
not by
came from maybe a person came from like a toxically like I'm going to specify that they came from like a toxically traditional family. Maybe one of the family members goes out and marries somebody of a different race than theirs or something like that. And then just because they were honest with themselves, you know what I mean? They were like, I'm part of evolution. I crave diversity. You know what I mean? And then that's enough of a thing. It causes havoc, but it's an example. Like, I guess in a nutshell, what I'm saying is maybe a big part of it is just the example that you lead by what you're actually doing. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
not always clear. You can't expect people to confess to you that the effect you've had on them. That's not even fair to expect. But in the long run, that's what we are all doing already. You know what I mean? We are already making movements forward and learning together as humanity. That's like what we already are doing.
Yeah.
We already are called developing science and stuff like that from that place. And we step forward and we make mistakes and sometimes it's cataclysmic and we do our best for it not to be a world ender. But
yeah,
but at the end of the day, I think that you can get a lot of that. You can realize a lot of those things by getting out of the hypnotic like identity world. You know, I'm gonna build up a good this identity feels good. You know, it feels good for now, but try it out and see where it leads. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Try it out, and then when it gets old, it might be time to just see through it, see what even constructed that identity to begin with. You know, the reality of
exactly.
how that happened.
Yeah. The fourth
Yeah.
turning conversation kind of made me think about a reaction we did recently. It wasn't even a reaction. We were just talking about utopian societies. And the first thing that was suggested on there would be that humanity would transcend its survival needs more for a collective sustainability. Do you think that is possible?
Okay, uh, I have a feeling about the way people talk about utopia, where it usually gives me like, uh-oh, communism vibes. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
like set that aside.
Ah,
Um,
that's
but
understandable. Yeah.
yeah, usually I think that's that like paradox of compassion where it's like, well, let's do the best thing for everybody, and it ends up being the worst thing for everybody.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
but it comes from a good intention, you know? So, okay, but moving on, you asked about if it's possible to have yeah, I mean, I can only say that I see it on a small scale. So on the team that I'm part of with the people that I work with, we have I mean, we're a team, we're like a company, so it's not like a society, but it's the most, it's the most like effective prototype I've ever seen for that sort of thing, where the concern is not on my own individual needs. The concern is on the thriving of the mission, you could say, like the whole mission, the mission of awakening, the mission of everybody's enlightenment. Like I could say my short-term mission at least is an enlightened team. That like I make sure everybody gets there, even if it's before me. Um, and I can feel that sort of care from everybody else who's on my team. That sort of like I'm making sure you succeed. Like your win is my win. Your win is my win. Your success is my success. That sort of that collective um, best case scenario for the collective is what I take personally attitude. And it's so rare. It is so freaking rare. It's common in families. Like it's common that parents feel that toward their kids, especially when their kids are young. It's a little tougher when kids get older and there's, you know, that competition thing gets activated.
Mm.
But especially when kids are young, that's there where it's I want the best for you. You have a scratch, I take that personally. You know, whatever you need, I devote myself to that. But to see it with a bigger group of people, 20, 30, 40 people is rare. Like you don't see that in any of the best
Yeah.
companies, you know, you don't,
Yeah.
that's like a, so because of that, I'm optimistic. But if you ask about like all of society,
You know what's funny? Like with what you're saying, like a true reflect, like a true display of people that are starting to cultivate like a unified perspective. Like your win is my win. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. I'm not struggling honestly with feelings of jealousy or resentment or something like that.
yeah,
We all love each other too much for that to go on. If we saw somebody struggling, we would try to help them out and bring them so everybody's feels complete or whatever, or just, you know, an effort towards that. It's so different than how things usually are in like a corporate sense. But I'm saying the
hmm
funny thing is back in the 90s, we there were so many depictions of the fear of collectivization, you know what I mean? And there's some real scary examples like how communism's played out and stuff like that. But even fictionally, like in Star Trek, you got the Borg.
you know?
Yeah,
Ooh,
aliens are always like this
creepazoids.
collective menace coming.
They all think the same way. Creepy, creepy. It's not creepy
Oh.
for me to go over and murder someone, a stranger, in the name of war, but it's creepy that these people are, they all think the exact same way. And that's for real reasons. It's just funny that there's a trepidation about that we have that plays out in
Oh,
our
but the opposite is
fantasies.
true. The opposite is true.
Yeah.
It's like the more you become what you really are, and I'm not even talking about total self-realization. I'm just talking about like, what are you? What are you? What are you when you're not faking? What are you when you're not pretending? What are you when you feel totally safe, totally aligned, totally yourself, like you at your best?
Hmm.
When you do that and you do that and I do that and you do that, it's like maximum diversity. Humor is like everybody's like funny and like politically incorrect funny. It's like everybody's like uniqueness fully blossoms. But because of that prioritization or recognition of unity, it's weird. It's like more diversity and more unity are synonymous, or like that's the same thing. It doesn't contradict, it doesn't compete. So the more our team has gotten unified, like unified in terms of like unified in terms of knowing what I am and knowing that we are all that, has given me confidence and permission to be completely what I am, like
Hmm.
unapologetically what I am. And it's very different. Nobody's becoming more like me, I'll tell you that much. I am not becoming more like anybody else. It's more distinct. And it's sort of like because of that, we can cover more ground, more unique skill sets are like popping up in people that I wouldn't expect. So yes, I feel you. Like that is, I think that's almost like that cult idea that like makes people like fear unity and like
Well,
I
it's
don't
there's
know,
just
like
so
what
much to it. You'd have to know every fine detail. I think about even some famous cults that didn't work out or something, right? And it's like, well, have you considered the fact that it emerged couched within a culture that's like completely antithetical to it? That's what it was up against. That thing that was just, well, look, it didn't work. It didn't work. It didn't work. You know?
interesting.
There's actual versions of that, like false communism, where it's like it really was fascism, and everybody understands that now. And then there's the versions of it where it was actually something beautiful for a moment there. These people let go of all their inhibitions, and they actually did therapy and worked out their demons, and they got to a place of genuine, like serious, unbounded love with each other. But it didn't work out. Well, it was also couched within the kingdom of hell, the kingdom of like, government, like that, not under my watch. Anything that exists without my
Right.
consent is evil.